Wednesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast streaming to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. It's been about a year that Encore Developmental Services in Clinton has had a laundry list of issues to address at its aging facility on Clinton's east side. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, Executive Director Stephanie Kuntz told Regional Radio they have some positive momentum going on, addressing the issues that came up around a year ago after a visit from the Illinois State Fire Marshal's office.
Oh, it's very exciting. We have Gets Fire is putting in our fire detection and alarm system. So thanks to the community's support from individual donators and some other larger donations and the mental health board, we are able to have all the funds that are needed to start that process. We regularly have to have fire marshal inspections in order to keep our certification with the state of Illinois and the department. So they came in. It was a different fire inspector. The other previous one had retired. He saw our old cattle auction house building and went, "Oh, I'm going to have to talk to my supervisor." And then it was in August when he brought back his supervisor and their supervisor and their supervisor and a couple more people. They're like five to six fire marshals came into our building, and they inspected, and then they came back with a huge amount of findings that we received about a year ago. And so we looked at those. We've been working with an architect for a plan, because what they require includes firewalls that go all the way to the ceiling and separation of businesses and sections of what we do, because we have our business side, we have the store side, and then we have our maintenance side. And so all those things they wanted separated with firewalls. So working with the architect for that. Luckily, they get to a point in the architectural procedure that then we could take off information and give that to fire alarm detection system people. And so that process has been the first thing that we'll get done. First phase is in process, possibly will be completed by the end of November.
Kuntz says it's nice to have something happening to get a start on the list of things they have to do.
It feels very exciting when I walk in the door. It's silly. I never thought I would be excited to see a fire pole, those red fire pole alarm thing system somewhere. I'm like, wow, I feel like we're, in the 20th century, and this is the 21st century, but at least we're up with the times. We are going, actually, I think by the end of this week, I might be next week, but I think by the end of this week, we should have a good portion of the building active, so that they'll be able to have, real fire sirens going off in the building, which might be terrifying the first time we hear them. We had it's just like smoke detectors and lights that would go off all across the building. So just that beep, beep, beep we all hear in our kitchens. This will be a much different sound for all of us to get used to.
While it is nice to see the fire alarm system started, Kuntz indicates trying to work with the Illinois Fire Marshal's office has been increasingly frustrating as they try to get professional plans to them. Kuntz feels the target is changing.
Well, we also, with this, we have to work with an architect in order to make those firewalls and those separations that the fire marshal would like for that warehouse, especially portion of our building. So we've been working with them, working on the exits, and the lighting seems to be a sticking point. So the architect developed all the plans, and then we were to the phase where we sent them off to the fire marshal for their review and approval. So then we could go ahead and move forward with, getting bids and building those walls and making those exits. Well, the fire marshal was not satisfied with the plan that we sent to them. So now it is back at the architect, and the architect is looking over what the codes are that he wanted more specific details on, what he wanted added. And so they're looking at that. Then once that is complete, they will send it back to the fire marshal. The fire marshal will approve or disapprove it again, and we will keep rolling. It is very frustrating, and it just kind of, in many ways, it feels like the mark that we're supposed to be hitting is moving. And we know that this is a building that is not made today. It was built. I'm not even sure if anybody out there knows when this building actually was built. We don't have a specific date. We've got maybe late 50s, early 60s.
Okay.
Possibly. So if anybody has that information, I'd love to talk to you. And it was built without any plans.
Koontz is encouraged they continue to receive extensions on deadlines for the project's completion and is happy to have something tangible to report to the fire marshal's office, but she wishes the good faith efforts would be returned from them, as Encore wants their facility to be safe for their clients and workers. School leaders are expressing frustrations over the rollout of the most recent data from the Illinois State Board of Education for school report cards. Hayworth Schools Superintendent Dr. Lisa Taylor says ISB released the data, then it was constantly changing, or there were issues with the website for school administrators to access.
Yeah, so this is basically the score that all districts get from the state, and it's based on a combination of things that you can, testing, attendance, graduation rates, how much growth students have had academically. And really how families use it, is when they're moving to a community, right? They look up how well does the school do in this area? And we're all given kind of an overall designation from exemplary to, very comprehensive support. Like your district needs a lot of help. And so it is a big piece. It's a piece of like my performance goals. It's a piece of my administrative team. We are required to give an annual report to the board. And so those scores all go public at the end or at the beginning of November. And we start getting preliminary ones through, for the last 30 days. But I think the frustration with superintendents is the lack of faith and credibility we have in some of the information that's coming out, because it's changing every other day or every few days. And you might go from exemplary to need support overnight, and ISB might not be able to explain why. The site's been down a lot. It's just been kind of a frustrating piece because we work hard on all of these indicators, and you feel like you need to be a calculus major to understand how it's all done. But hopefully they get it all cleaned up in the next week or so, because it'll all be released to the media. We'll be getting a lot of questions, and it'll be public for everyone. It's something we talk to our teachers about, but we've been reluctant this year. Every time we've talked to them, we're like, this is preliminary. Things are changing. Let's wait until it's all finalized and take it from there.
Within the data itself, Dr. Taylor is watching closely the attendance rates. Schools across central Illinois continue to deal with attendance issues among students as the impacts of the COVID response linger.
Yeah, so chronic absences is one thing. So these would be excused absences, and kids who are missing, I believe it's 18 days or more. And post-COVID, chronic absences has been the hardest hit thing in all districts, right? Districts went remote for a while. I think we all just got a little, people working from home more, but you can't do school from home anymore. And so just getting people to schedule appointments outside of the day. If your kid is just tired and doesn't want to come to school, get on them and say, no, you got to go. You got to be there. So that's one thing that's hitting all schools hard. And we've really put a lot of things in place to be communicating with parents to let them know in advance, hey, you're at this many days and we really need you here, And so that's one area we focused on. And then we changed a lot of programming in terms of kids who need additional help. We call it What I Need. And so we changed that in elementary and junior high. So that if kids are struggling in a specific math skill or a specific reading skill, they're getting the additional help they need during the day.
Dr. Taylor points out the data has a lot to do with funding from the state of Illinois, as well as designations that end up leading to more or fewer interventions. She spoke to regional radio before the public release of the data for Hayworth Schools, so she was not able to publicly comment on how her school had done in the previous year. An Illinois state trooper was shot last week in Springfield and is still recovering. Cody Chapman Green remains hospitalized. The trooper's mother, Kim Green, says her son always wanted to be a trooper.
Right before he got into the academy, got accepted, we had a conversation. And I asked him if he still wanted to go through with this, being that laws are changing and how the world is today. And he looked at me and he said, Mom, I still feel like I can make a difference. And buddy, you are going to make a difference.
Newly released dash cam video shows the shooting and the apprehension of the suspect, Cristobal Santana, on October 24th. Illinois State Police say Santana fired 10 shots at Chapman Green, hitting him multiple times, and the suspect is alleged to have beaten him with his pistol. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
We're not saying Brevant Seeds could beat every seed brand out there. We're just saying that a new way of doing things backed by constant innovation, over 100 years of ag experience, science, and service, one of the world's largest libraries of corn germplasm, and utilizing the expertise that can only come from local ag retail, has led Brevant Seeds to average more bushels per acre than the competition every year we've sold seed. That's all. Bucking the status quo. That's the Brevant Seed standard.
This is Noah Atkinson, owner of Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs in Lincoln. Small business is the lifeblood of our communities. That's why I'm proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month.
Ed and Crystal Cisnius founded EMC Photography in Clinton to help local families and businesses tell stories in stunning images. From families and babies, seniors, and more, see examples of their spectacular work online at Ed and Crystal, that's crystalwithak.com. They'll receive a $200 gift certificate good at Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs for being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like featured by emailing us at WHOW@randyradio.com.
Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs congratulates this local business for their contribution to our community. And for envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banners, vinyl wraps, and more, find us at lincolnprintersinc.com.
Hey, this is Todd Gleason from Illinois Extension here with a time change for our daily market report on WHOW. You can now catch our daily review of the commodity markets at 5:06 on all of WHOW's many platforms. You'll still hear all of our commodity analysts and weather professionals each afternoon, but at a brand new time. And you'll still hear the weekly wrap-up of the commodity markets right here on WHOW when Commodity Week airs Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Remember the time change for the daily closing market report on WHOW at our new time, 5:06 p.m. weekdays.
With SRN Sports, I'm Michael Harrington. Let's start with the World Series, and it's getting down to the end here. The Rangers on the verge now, their first ever championship.
The Rangers erupted for 10 runs in the second and third innings en route to an 11-7 victory over the Diamondbacks. Marcus Semien drove in 5 runs with a homer and triple. Corey Seager pounded his 6th round tripper of the playoffs, and Semien says it was a good overall victory as they now have a 3-1 lead in the series.
To put up 5 runs in the second inning, those are few and far between. We get 2 out RBIs. I got one yesterday. I was able to get 2 today.
Andrew Haney got the win for the Rangers. The D-backs attempted a late comeback led by Lourdes Gurriel's 3-run homer in the 8th inning, but it fell short. George Tanner, Phoenix.
In the NFL yesterday, the Vegas Raiders have fired Coach Josh McDaniel and GM Dave Sigler. Antonio Pierce will take over as the interim coach. This is SRN Sports. Elsewhere in the NFL yesterday, Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, and everybody on the Denver Broncos stayed put at the trading deadline, but the San Francisco 49ers made a big move, getting defensive standout Chase Young from the Washington Commanders for a compensatory 3rd-round draft pick. Commanders also sent quarterback Montez Sweat to Chicago, suggesting that Washington may be in teardown and rebuild mode. We shall see. In the NBA yesterday, just 3 games to talk about. Clippers 118, Orlando 102. Spurs beat Phoenix 115-114, Knicks 109, and the Cavaliers 91. In the National Hockey League, just 2 matches. Vancouver 5, Predators 2. It was LA over Toronto by a 4-1 score. College football, Colorado coach Deion Sanders says the NCAA or the Rose Bowl should step in and reimburses players for items that were stolen from the Buffalo's locker room during their game with UCLA. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Monticello, a 16 seed in the South bracket of the Class 3A high school football playoffs, gave top seed DuQuoin all they could handle in a 28-21 loss Saturday afternoon in DuQuoin. After the game, an emotional Coach Coley Welter expressed how proud he was of his team for not only their efforts Saturday, but how much of a joy they were to coach all season.
You want to stay away from cliches, but it's hard. But I've told you all year long, and it's not just because Trey's my son, but I've enjoyed, and it's his senior year. That certainly plays a part of it, but I just enjoyed these kids this year. I mean, you do every year, but for some reason, it's just been a lot of fun.
In Saturday's loss, Monticello had an early miscue on special teams that led to a DeCoin score, but Coach Welter felt they were able to pin the Indians back, and their defense did a good job.
You need to come to practice every day, and to come so close to being able to have another week with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those games where it could have gone either way. I feel like I could probably pinpoint a lot of little things, here and there. I certainly didn't like how we covered our kickoffs, and after we get a little momentum and give them the ball midfield, I felt like any time that they had to start inside their 25, we were able to stop them. Anytime they had, any chance to go 4 downs, that made it tough, especially with them being so much bigger than us.
The momentum Saturday was back and forth all afternoon. Monticello got up 14-6 before DeCoin immediately answered with a score to tie the game going into the half. The Indians got the first score of the second half to go up 20-14, but the Sages answered and went up 21-20. However, DeCoin scored late, and Monticello turned it over to seal the win for the top seed.
I think that went both ways. Like you said, I think we actually went up 20-14 or 21-14. Then we or no, you're right. They went up 20-14. Then we scored and kicked the extra point to go up 21-20, and then and then they returned the kickoff to the 47. And it just seemed like that's kind of been a story, a theme, unfortunately, for the last few years. Is 3rd and 4th downs getting off the field. It's just tough, and we're not built for 3rd and 4th and short. I hate to say that. We're just not, and it's not. And I say that as a compliment to our kids because they sure try. They sure try and they give every effort, but it's just hard.
For Coach Welter, getting to watch a lot of the kids grow up with his youngest son, Trey, was a big part of his closeness with this group, and he's thankful his son got to grow up with a good group of kids.
Yeah, I just told him before the game, I just went and visited my coach at Muhammad. His son was my best friend, and I remember, hanging out at his house and stuff, and I remember thinking how much he enjoyed his son's class, and of course I know them well. But I go back to what Ray said. They're just a real quality group of kids. They're very respectful. They show up to practice every day. They respond. And and I'm thankful that Trey's got to grow up with. I think it's just season as a whole, the summer as a whole, the off season as a whole. Just what stands out to me is just how steady they were all year long. It's just how reliable they were all year long, and that's a huge quality, and that's going to set them up for being successful in life for sure.
For Coach Welter, it's the second straight year, the Sages finished 5-5, but it's also the second straight year Monticello was a heavy underdog on the road in the playoffs and kept it a one-score game with a much higher seed. Green Bay Packers outside linebacker Rashawn Gary has agreed to a 4-year contract extension, bringing a bit of good news to a team that has lost 4 straight. Gary announced a 4-year, $107 million contract extension that included a $34.6 million signing bonus on social media. The Packers announced the extension later Monday, revealing the terms. Gary can earn $107 million through the end of a deal that now runs through 2027, as he's receiving about $96 million in new money to go along with his 2023 salary of $10.8 million. Gary has a team-high 4.5 sacks, even though he was playing limited snaps early in the season as he worked his way back from a torn ACL. He only started playing more than half of the Packers' defensive plays in the past 2 games, a 19-17 loss at Denver and a 24-10 home defeat against the Vikings. He had 9.5 sacks in 2021 and had 6 more last season, despite playing just 9 games before his season-ending ACL injury. Gary has spent his entire career with the Packers, who selected him out of Michigan with the 12th pick overall in the 2019 draft. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless. How much fun is your job?
When was the last time you jumped out of bed before the alarm and got to work early?
Do the folks around your office laugh enough?
When you get a win, does everyone on the team celebrate your success?
Does solving creative problems give you a thrill?
We know that thrill.
And if you want more of it, we want to hear from you.
We work with local business to increase revenue and grow the bottom line.
We do it by creating smart, creative advertising on air, online, and on smartphones.
Every day, the Miller Media Group team comes to work and does a job that makes things better for our listener, our client, and our community.
We also believe in the importance of a balance of work and life.
We believe it's necessary for a thriving workplace.
If you're the creative problem solver, we're looking for you. You could earn with commissions as much as $50,000 a year.
Plus, we offer generous time off.
Sound good?
Sound like leaping out of bed for?
Get started by sending an email to sales@randyradio.com.
That's sales@randyradio.com.
The Miller Media Group is an equal opportunity employer.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Connexus will provide local, reliable, affordable, and speed of light fiber internet to Clinton. Get on the install list now by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Fiber internet is coming to Clinton. Get on the install list now.
Do you know what to do when a car is pulled over on the side of the road?
Get over!
First, reduce your speed. Second, change lanes if possible. Third, proceed with caution. These 3 simple steps can be the difference between life and death.
What if it's you that's on the side of the road? Do you want everybody to move over for you?
Do the right thing. Slow down, move over, and drive like your life and their life depends on it.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. It is their ticket out of war-torn Gaza. The Rafah crossing with Egypt reopened this morning, allowing the injured as well as foreign nationals to cross over into Egypt. Israel says it has killed another Hamas commander as the war in Gaza grinds on. The FBI Director Christopher Wray has warned the Senate Homeland Security Committee of the very real and growing threat of terrorism inside the U.S., Wray saying it's been prompted by developments in the war that's ongoing in the Middle East. An initial court appearance is expected later today for 21-year-old Cornell University junior Patrick Dye. He's accused of making online torture and death threats against Jewish students at Cornell. Later today, we'll find out the Fed's plans for interest rates. Fed expected to hold the line on rates for now. More details at srnnews.com.
You are from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this local news update. Local school leaders are expressing frustration over the rollout of the most recent data from the Illinois